Hi there, Erin Lee here of Heavenly Messenger, bringing you this week's Tune In and Tune Up for Thursday. Oh man, can we have a do-over? Today has actually felt like a do-over day in a lot of ways. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com, and this is Tune In and Tune Up Thursday. I would like to welcome you and thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way, and it has been a long time. And not only has it been a long time, it was the beginning of June, the last time we connected for Tune In and Tune Up Thursday, but it has been a pretty incredible 6 months. A lot has happened for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And so welcome and thank you again so much for joining me. So for this week's Tune In and Tune Up Thursday, I've got a new platform that I'm trying. You may have caught Sandy and I last night and on Sunday using it. So what I'm doing is I'm talking to you in my phone camera, and then below me on my laptop, I have all of the comments and the questions that are coming up. So if you notice me looking down, that's what's happening. Is I'm going to the comments and I'm reading what's happening there. I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks I'll figure out a better setup so that you're not seeing the top of my head, so I can look at you face on. All right, so let's just do a quick check-in. I had an email today from a friend of mine. I had just gone to her house to do a COVID-friendly pickup for some earrings and a necklace, the ones that I'm wearing. And she had just left everything on the doorknob for me. And she sent me a message after, and she said, Erin, it was so tempting to run out and give you a hug. And I thought, you know what? I feel exactly the same way. I think one of the most challenging parts for me as a person who's a hugger, who enjoys people, seeing people in person, is not being able to see and connect with people the way that we usually do, and not to be able to give hugs. And of all of the times that anybody could use a hug or that we could use that personal physical contact, I think now is that time. So I wanted to invite you to take a couple of deep breaths with me to connect all of us together on an energetic level, to give and to receive that sense of connection, humanity, and the feeling of hopefully being together in person. So I've never done this before, certainly not live on Facebook, and potentially YouTube as well. I'm hoping that this is streaming to my YouTube channel as well. So let's just take a moment right now and send a hug, receive a hug. Are you ready? All right. So just take a moment to close your eyes, to hold your shoulders, to hold your heart, and imagine yourself being held, being loved, and being supported. Feeling the presence of love, God, Source, Universe, angels, and being connected in that place where we are all one, where we are all loved, and where we are all supported. And some of the best hugs are the ones where you can relax and release. Feel that you are seen and heard for who you are and accepted as you are right now in this moment. And I want to share that energy of acceptance, peace, and love with you right now and give you a great big huge squeeze. So thank you for joining me in a big hug. I know I felt a lot of calmness, and it might not be the same as being able to hug each other in person, but it was a good runner-up. So before we get to the questions, I thought I'd pull a couple of cards for us. I know we pulled a couple of cards last night, but I'm really enjoying pulling a couple of cards for everybody for the evening to see what's coming up. One of the things that I've been finding in terms of themes for people lately is that people are in all different places right now. I've been connecting with a lot of people who are in a place kind of hibernation where they're building up energy. I've been connecting with people where, yes, they are still building up energy, but they're getting ready to explore, to kind of push out. There have been people who have been in places of healing and people in places where things are moving forward. So I want to get a feeling for something that we can all benefit from this week. So I decided we would go with the messages from your Angels Oracle card deck. This was actually the first Oracle card deck that I started with several years ago, and it's still one of my favorites. So we'll just pick 3 cards, just asking, what do we need to know for this week moving forward? The first card that we have, I love this, is the Ariel card, and her message, I hope you can see that. There we go. And her message is, new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view the world and yourself. Allow your spiritual gifts to open through study, prayer, and meditation. And actually, I absolutely love that this card came up, because one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately were some of the trends that I was seeing when we were going into the first part of lockdown back in March and April here in Canada. And there were so many people who were putting so much time and energy into into meditation, into personal development, into connecting with spirit, and things were opening up on such a huge and significant level. People who hadn't really been able to connect with God, source, universe, angels, whatever their belief system is, I was hearing stories from them that they were starting to connect. The veil between our world and our deceased loved ones who have crossed over started to become thinner at a time when it's not usually thin, and people were connecting. And I thought, man, if we can take nothing from this experience but this, that's pretty powerful. How significant our daily practices on that collective level are. So some of us, a lot of us, as life has started to come back into kind of a new sort of balance where a lot of us are back to work where perhaps we weren't before, some of those practices might be slipping, but I see this as encouragement to get back to them. So this is a great time for journaling, for meditation, for pulling cards, for creative projects, for grounding, for visualization, for actively connecting with your intuition on a regular basis. The next card that we have here is the Opal card. And this card is all about children. Your children on earth and in heaven are happy and well cared for by God and the angels. And so this is kind of an interesting card to come up for such a general kind of reading, such as we have right now, because it can really speak to what's happening with children that you have here, for those who have crossed over or for those who haven't been born yet. But there are some people where children aren't really part of their lives. And so for that message, I always see this as being our inner child, that our inner child is being cared for, and that it's important that we're taking time to connect with that energy of innocence, of love, of wonder in the world. So take this as an invitation over the next week or so to find time to connect with that inner child and to connect with yourself. Also, if you do have children that you are worried about, this message that's coming up here is really encouraging you to breathe. Yes, there might be action that you're needing to take, but to know that you have help and support with it too. And the last card that we have here is the Adriana card, and I really appreciate this one as well. Her message is, I am leading you toward the answer to your prayers. Please listen to and follow the steps I am communicating through your intuition, thoughts, and dreams. When this card comes up, again, it's often because we are feeling lonely or disconnected or unheard, where we're really questioning, maybe is there a God, source, universe? Is there actually help for me? Am I on my own, or is there something else? And so when this card comes through, the encouragement is to really pay attention to the signs that there is help and support. And these can come through in a variety of different ways. I had an experience last week where a friend and client of mine had sent me a message. She said, Erin, I'm going to be in Union Bay in half an hour. Would you come and meet me just before this appointment that I have to go to? And I thought, you know what? I have time. It's not something I would usually do, but it just felt right. And so I did it. And then I came back to the house and I startled this cat. And long story short, it turns out that this cat had been missing from a house just a couple of doors down across the street for about 2 months, and it was really needing that help. And so that was a bit of synchronicity, a bit of, there was something bigger than me that was happening in that moment. Not only the opportunity to connect with this awesome and amazing person, but also the opportunity to get a cat that was definitely struggling back to its home and back to its owners. So look for those little signs and see them and appreciate them and acknowledge them when they happen. All right, enough of my talking. Let's go to the comments and we'll take a look at the questions. Oops, that's my microphone. I didn't mention this earlier, but if you are asking a question this evening and you would like me to use a particular deck of cards, please let me know with the question and don't post it in a second comment because I only see the one question at a time. So we have the green deck, which is the Messages from Your Angels Oracle card deck. We have the blue deck, which is the Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck, and we're only going to use 3 this evening. The last deck is the yellow deck, which is the Archangel Oracle card deck. All right, so let's pop on and take a look here. Oh, we've got lots of people on. This is awesome. Thank you all so much for joining me. So hello to Kai and to Michelle and Katie and Margaret and Kathy. It is so good to see all of you. Thank you for coming on. We have Tracy and Crystal and Eileen and Ashley. Hello. Victoria and Margaret and Corrine. We have Kai and Tanya and Katie. Lynn is on, and another Katie, Ange and Anne-Marie and Taryn. Hello to all of you. Eileen and Harjeet, and we've got MC. I hope I'm saying that right. And JC, hello, it's so good to see you. Let me see. And Glennie and Corrine is on as well. Hi, thank you all so much for joining me this evening. Okay, so let's just take a look and see. So this StreamYard platform thing that I'm using is kind of cool because it allows me to tag the comment and keep it up on the top. So we know exactly who we're talking to and what the comment is. So we've got hellos here from Kai and Michelle and Katie and Margaret and Kathy and Tracy. Let me see. Okay, so the other thing I was going to mention is when you're asking a question, please be specific in the question that you're asking. I don't do you have a message for me or can you pull a card for me? So please, if you have a specific question, ask the specific question. The more specific you are in your question, the more specific I can be in my answer because I only take a couple minutes with each person. So we've got Tracy here. Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining me. She's just wondering, can you tell me when the right time to meet someone is? And she says, any deck. Okay, well, let's take a look. So it's kind of interesting. And, one of the things with being under restrictions right now is you would think it would be a difficult time to meet people. But I'm actually seeing this being something that's working out in your favor because when people are seeing and interacting with each other in person, it feels like they are more friendly and more open because in a lot of ways, we're feeling a little desperate for human connection and interaction. So I actually see that as being a bit of a bonus for what we're experiencing with COVID. So when I'm asking for you, Tracy, I have April of this year coming up really strongly. It feels like at that point you've let go of something, and it feels like this is a pretty big weight that has lifted off of you. I've got a lot of clearing coming up in through your heart and through your throat chakra. And so there's a lot of energy that's coming up around April. I'm also seeing you spending a fair amount of time outside, and I'm wanting to encourage you to go hiking as well. It feels like you're probably going to be going with a friend or friends. They don't feel like they're really challenging hikes. They don't feel like they're particularly long hikes. I'm not seeing you going for a couple of days, but it does feel like this is something that's probably at least an hour to 2 or 3 hours that you're doing. It feels like potentially there's somebody that you're meeting kind of along the way, but I'm not pinning everything on connecting with a person while you're out hiking. It just feels like that's really important and significant to you at that time, and it just so happens that about that time you're going to be meeting somebody really kind of interesting. This feels like this is a relationship that might take a bit of time to get off. Like I'm kind of seeing the reverse of a plane. You know, when a plane lands, they kind of bump a little bit. That's kind of what it feels like for taking off. So hopefully you're not bumping too much with takeoff on a plane. But anyway, moving past that and beyond that, as I said, it feels like there's a bit of bump in getting things going and in connecting. There might be a bit of miscommunication that happens at first. There could be one person that's putting out some interest, and the other person, for whatever reason, isn't realizing that that's what it is, even though they're interested as well. So it feels like that's a big part of what we have going on with this, but it is still feeling exciting and worthwhile. So we're going to go to the green cards, my messages from the angels, and we're just going to ask, what message does Tracy need to know about meeting somebody, whether it's preparing to meet somebody or moving forward? And we're going to do just one card this evening so we can talk to lots of people. So this is a really significant card. It's Archangel Uriel. His message is, your emotions are healing, which enables you to open to greater love. I will help you release anger and unforgiveness from your heart and mind. And this feels significant because, as I said, when we were tapping in, it felt like there was a lot of releasing, a lot that you were letting go of, particularly around your heart, and also with the throat chakra, that there's probably a lot that you have been holding back, or you've been holding on to, or you haven't been expressing. So take this next couple of months and use that to take a look and see, how do you feel about connecting with somebody for a relationship? How do you talk about being able to connect with somebody? Is it kind of from the perspective, oh, I don't know that it's going to happen, or it's there's nobody around here who is interesting? So pay attention to what you're putting out, because what you're putting out is what you're manifesting, and that's usually coming from the core and the foundation of what you're feeling and perhaps previous experiences. Tracy, I'm so glad that you joined us this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, let's take a look. So who do we have next? Okay, so I've got here Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining me. Michelle's wondering about her job and future from a financial perspective. What do we have coming up? Okay, so job, on the one hand, I'm seeing things being stable and feeling fairly secure, but I'm also seeing a bit of stuff it feels like it's adjusting and moving a little bit as well. So although I'm seeing work feeling fairly stable, it does feel like there are some changes that are going to be coming up. These are changes that are not part of what you're what you're choosing. So for example, it's not you saying, okay, well, I'm going to apply for another job. So I do want you to be aware of that, that it does feel like there are these shifts and changes that are outside of your control and possibly outside of your work's control as well. And that it doesn't feel like this is anything personal. It feels like this is just kind of what is needing to happen, unfortunately. But I do see them working to make sure that there is a job and that there is work for you for as long as they possibly can, which is feeling really positive. I'm not feeling the carpet being pulled out from under you, so it does feel like there is going to be a certain amount of stability, but it does feel like it's time to start taking a look at other options. I want to encourage you to be open to some of your job, the things that you do within your job shifting and changing, because that could be part of the change that your workplace is experiencing, where they're possibly amalgamating a couple of jobs together in order to keep as many people on as they can. And So yes, it feels like there's a bit of a shift and a change that's happening from that perspective. When I take a look at finances, things are feeling pretty stable throughout. So it doesn't feel like there's a huge dip. There's not a huge spike, but it feels like things are staying fairly stable. But now is definitely a time to start looking at different job options and opportunities and see where you might want to be putting your energy in the future. Let me see. So we're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Michelle around her work and around finances. So this is a fabulous card. Oops, there we go. It's the You're Being Helped card. So heaven is working behind the scenes to help you, even if you don't see the results just yet. I love that that card has come up, particularly on the heels of messages that feel like things are shifting and changing. So when we see shifts and changes like this, know that it is bringing about better opportunities, better options. And even though it might feel chaotic and uncertain, know that you are being helped and supported. This would also be a really good time to pay attention to the things that you're thinking about with your work. Do you find that you come home and you are frustrated by things that happened either with coworkers or situations, or maybe customers or people that you interact with? Now is really important to pay attention to the energy that you're putting out there in terms of what you're wanting for work. So what I would do is focus on the things that you are wanting to feel and to experience, the types of work that you're wanting to do, and how you're wanting to feel when you come home at the end of the day, or how you want to feel when you get up in the morning and you're starting to prepare for work. Do you want to feel excited and invigorated and ready to face the day? Or are you finding that you're feeling really tired or anxious and not wanting to go in? So pay attention to those feelings and also to what you're putting out there. Michelle, thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure connecting with you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, let's take a look. Ashley's just saying, so glad to see you back. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you for being here with me. Okay, let me see. Victoria, if you want to ask a specific question, I'd love to connect with you. Okay, so we've got Kathy here. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining me. Could we take a look at Kathy's daughter's business and how it will do this year? Let's take a look and see what we have. So when I look at it, I'm seeing everything being on this like upward movement rather. It kind of reminds me of the business graphs that you see where the guy is walking with his little briefcase and he's like walking up and it's like this huge trend up. I want to say that that's really positive. So it feels like your daughter's business is expanding. It feels like it is accelerating. And I'm seeing her starting to come into a point in a place where she is looking for help and support in some of the jobs that she's doing. It feels like there are some things that are kind of busy work type of things that are taking up a lot of time and energy that are better served if she puts her energy into other things that are more focused on generating revenue and profit. And it feels like there are these other things that she can start putting off to the side. I'm not sure that this is an employee, particularly like somebody that she has on a regular and consistent basis. This feels like this could be a person or a couple of people who are doing kind of contract work. I'm wanting to talk about maybe something like a virtual assistant. So something where she's not having to employ them. She's not responsible for EI and those types of things, but where she's able to put off some jobs on them and they come back fairly quickly. It's all done and it's boom, boom, boom. She's off to the races. So business feels like it is definitely growing and expanding and it's feeling really positive. Let's just take a card and see what we have coming up for your daughter. We're using the Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck because they really like to work with us on that material and financial level. So the card we have for you, for your daughter, is Set Your Sights Higher. And I love this, particularly with all of the messages. In fact, the imagery is very similar to what I was seeing. We have this beautiful mermaid and she's reaching up, she's reaching towards the light. Increase your standards and expect more for yourself. Don't settle. So for me, this is really confirmation of the messages that we've already had. It feels like it's important for her to be setting some goals, to be realistic realistic in the goals that she's setting, but also to be realistic plus like 25%. So if we were using numbers, say, maybe she wants to aim for 100, but her goal should really be more like 125. So just to put that one out there, but it's feeling really positive and exciting. Kathy, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure connecting with you. I'm sending big hugs and lots of love and support your way. All right, let's pop back down here to our comments. Let me see. So we've got Margaret here. Hi, Margaret. Thanks for joining me. Margaret's wondering about new work opportunities. She says her efforts have not panned out and wondering if she needs to go in a different direction. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have. So it's interesting because when I check into the opportunities that are coming up for you, I'm actually seeing 3 different streams. And part of what I'm seeing is braiding. So, you braid 3 together. So it feels like there are 3 different aspects to the work you're going to be doing. And I'm kind of wondering if this is maybe something that is partially self-guided, partially maybe working for something else, and partially something else that I can't quite put my finger on. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking less at a full-time position and more at a couple of different things that you are pulling together. It kind of reminds me of when I was starting out doing readings. I had a soap, bath, and beauty product business. So I was making products and selling them. I was doing readings and Reiki, and I was also building websites at the same time. And it feels kind of along those lines. Only I am seeing at least 1, possibly 2 sources of revenue that feel like they are coming in from somebody else. So I would say that this is some form of employment or contract income, but there is definitely something that you're working on that is yours. It's 100% yours. I've got a lot that's coming up around communication. I'm wanting to talk about like blog and that type of thing. It feels like there is some form of writing and expression and communication that you are using. And I'm seeing this being under your name, but I'm also wondering if you might be doing some writing for other people. And so I just want to put that one out there. I do have Archangel Gabriel popping up really strongly for me, for you. And it feels like I'm kind of wanting to take a look at like copywriting or ghostwriting or something along those lines, because it feels like you're taking some ideas and you're pulling them together and you're writing them. And I know Margaret quite well, and I know what an incredible way you have with words. And I'm just kind of surprised that this hasn't come up for you sooner, but that's what I'm seeing for you right now. So yeah, there's definitely a lot that's coming up around your own work. When I look at the other 2 streams of income that are coming through, one of them feels like it's just kind of something that you're doing. I'm seeing the people that you work with and for, they feel really great. This feels like this is kind of a 10 to 15, maybe 20 hour a week type of thing that you're doing. It feels like it's something that you can really do on your own time. The interaction that you're having with other people feels like it's relatively minimal. And it feels like it's quite stress-free. So it's something that you're doing, you get it done, it's done, it's out of the way, and you get the paycheck that comes in that helps to support you on a financial level. And then the other one, I'm not really seeing what it is yet. So I kind of want to encourage you to give that one a bit of time and a bit of space, because it does feel like it's still evolving. We're going to go to the big guys for you. We're going to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for you, Margaret, in terms of new work opportunities. And I noticed that the card on the bottom of the deck when I picked it up was the Archangel Haniel card and the moon cycles and moon phases. So really want to encourage you to use the moon cycles in order to bring, what's the word I'm looking for? To manifest and to create. So use those energies. Oh, this is interesting. So we have the relationship harmony card. This is Archangel Raguel. We angels are opening the hearts of everyone involved, Arguments and conflicts are being resolved now. So this is an interesting card to come up around work, particularly looking for new work. And so what I would say is that it feels like there is an old connection or working relationship that's needing to be repaired, healed, and or released. It doesn't feel like this is something that you're needing to address with the person or people who were involved, but it feels like there's something on an emotional level that's just needing to be laid to rest. Either, we have different opinions or we work in different ways, or there's a lot of compassion that's coming up. It needs to be taken out of the story. So pay attention and see how much relationships come to the forefront when you talk about work experiences, or in finding work as well. Making sure that we're going into new jobs and new relationships, new work opportunities, with the feeling that the relationships that you're going into, working relationships, can be really healthy, positive, supportive, and uplifting for all people involved. Margaret, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. So let me see. Where are we? Okay, so we've got Kai here. Hi, Kai. Thanks for joining me. She's asking, do you see me finding passion to get back into my business? Business. Just one. Okay. Where are we going for Kai? So actually, it's interesting because the passion feels like it's starting outside of your work and business. The passion feels like it's starting with yourself. It feels like there's something that you have let go around routine or things that you do. And I'm feeling energetically, you're kind of feeling a little meh and kind of not in your usual energy. And it feels like that's part of what's having an impact on your passion for your business. I'm also seeing that it feels like there's been a couple of frustrations that have come up, not recently, but I'm kind of going back to October, September, November, kind of sometime in that time frame. And it feels like it was just, you know what, oh man, I'm so frustrated. Either something isn't working the way that I want it to, or I've had this experience that's really kind of put me off and I'm frustrated. It feels like we need to release that, work with that, and let go of that. And that starts to open things up again for passion in your business. It also feels like there are a couple of changes that you're going through with it as well. So there is something that isn't working for you the way that you want and need it to. And it feels like we've got some adjustments that are coming up there. So for example, I would use for myself, my hours on Tuesday and Wednesday are 10 o'clock in the morning to about 8 or 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. And I've been finding that that's really a long day and it's just not serving my purpose. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm adjusting and changing those hours so that they better fit what I need. And it feels like it's something kind of similar for you, not necessarily with your hours and your schedule, though definitely take a look at that. But it feels like this has to do with something that's not working and supporting you. And it's all actually coming back outside of your business to your own sense of passion and excitement around the work that you're doing. So take a look at focusing on things outside of work, and that's going to help support things with passion with work. Let me see. We're going to go to we're going to go to a deck that I didn't introduce this evening. I call this one the orange deck, and it is the Ask Your Guides deck. And we're just going to ask what Kai needs to do to bring passion and excitement back into her work and business. One of the things that I was really drawn to was actually the back of the card, because that felt the most passionate and fiery to me. And the card that we have here is the instant feedback card. This is such a strong intuition, gut instinct, clairsentience, empathic card and energy. And so basically what we have with this is it's asking you to check in, particularly with your stomach and what's coming up for you. And I would use this for the decision making. So for example, I would start asking a lot of questions. Okay, so is it when I'm feeling lack of passion in my business, is it because of the actual work that I'm doing? Is it that I just don't enjoy doing this anymore? Is it because there's something frustrating or that doesn't work for me about the way that I'm doing my business? Is it something to do with it feels like it's time for me to move on from this business? Or is there some other kind of change that I can do? Does it have to do with somebody that I'm working with, or a client or a customer? And really pay attention to your stomach and how it feels. Pay attention to your energy level. But this is a really strong intuition card, and it's saying you already know what it is, or the aspect of it that isn't working for you. It feels like this is something that can be resolved and adjusted, and it can move, and you can move forward. And I'm seeing you really enjoying your work from now on. So there is a lot of opportunity. To me, it doesn't feel like you're ready to move on just yet, but there are a lot of big questions that are needing to be asked. Kai, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, so I just have to read Tanya's comment. This is awesome. She says, oh, hey, it's nice to see you. She said she finally got it working. That's awesome. And she hears us on the hugging. Yeah, I totally miss hugs. Okay, so we've got Katie here. Hi, Katie. Thanks for joining us. She's saying, my daughter and I seeing twin flames and numbers like 111, 222, 333. Any basic advice for us? And is anything gonna stay good? Oh, is everything going to stay good? Okay, so I really love the questions around like 111 and 222 and 333. So there are a couple of things that come up with that. First of all, I really enjoy the Angel Numbers book. This was by Doreen. I know that there are a couple of other books that are out there as well. And basically in the Angel Numbers book, it goes from 1 to 999, and it gives the meanings and definitions of all of the different numbers. So for example, multiple ones has to do with your thoughts are manifesting rapidly. So whenever I see multiple ones, I always make sure that I make a wish, because that means that I am focusing on what I want rather than what I don't want. Threes have to do with the ascended masters. So ascended masters are people who lived on the earth who have ascended. So that would be like Jesus and Buddha and Mother Teresa, where they help and support us on a global level. The other thing, so maybe you don't have access to the book, and that's totally fine. Anytime I see multiple numbers, and we actually had one coming up earlier, I'll post about it in after the show. Anytime you see multiple numbers, it's always encouragement to stop, to slow down, and take a look and see what's happening for you. Is there something that you've been thinking about? Is there, have you been in kind of a negative thought process? Or is there something that maybe they're wanting to bring your attention to start putting more energy and encouragement into it? So for example, maybe you've been in negative thought process, and the 111 that you see is jolting you out of that process and saying, hey, we need to start paying attention to how we're either thinking about this thing or how we're thinking about ourselves, because it's not actually what we want. We need to be focusing on what we do want. Or maybe it's an old thought pattern that we've been actively working to release and to remove. I find that multiple numbers tend to be a really beautiful indicator of what's going on, and they can be a fabulous way to start picking up on synchronicities as well. The more that you recognize and acknowledge that you are seeing multiple numbers, that you are seeing signs, the more that you will see them. So often people ask me, well, how do I invite more synchronicity into my life? Or how do I invite more messages into my life? Acknowledge that it is a message when you see it, and you will start to see and receive more messages. If you're wanting to understand what the message is, stop and ask. When it comes to our intuition and psychic ability, there is a belief that we are that we don't have any control, that we are a passive part of the process. And that is so far from the truth. We have an active part in the process of our intuition, in the process of psychic ability, in the process of connecting with God's source and universe and angels and spirit guides and ascended masters and loved ones on the other side. We are active in the process. We can ask questions, we can get answers, and that's really important. And then popping over, and is everything going to stay good? That one's kind of a general question and a little bit difficult to quantify, but I am seeing things maintaining a fairly stable trajectory over the next little while. So I don't have any really big upheavals that are coming up for you. It feels like, I want to say, it feels like the worst is behind you in a specific situation that you are working with and dealing with. It feels like this involves another person, and that there is a question as to whether or not this other person is going to engage again, or is going to engage in a way that is destructive. What I am seeing is that it doesn't feel to me like they are going to engage in that way. And it feels like if they do, that you have different resources now than you have had in the past. I'm seeing boundaries being really difficult, and I'm seeing support that's coming up around you that's not only, energetic, angelic, whatever you want to, however it works for you, but I'm also seeing people being around you, supporting you as well, and that's making a big difference. So I'm just going to pull a card for you guys and see what message is coming up for you. This is the Messages from Your Angels Oracle card deck, and we have Akasha here, and this is a spiritual teaching card. You are a spiritual teacher. You have the ability to counsel others and help them awaken their spiritual gifts and divine mission. And it's so funny. I was actually thinking about this the other day. In order to be able to teach something to somebody else, you first need to have such a thorough understanding of it that you can see it and share it from multiple different positions and multiple different viewpoints. And that's a big part of what I'm seeing happening for you and your daughter right now, is you are learning. You are looking at things from new perspective, from new directions, and this is something that you're going to be able to share with others in the future. And Katie, I'm so glad that you joined me this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your daughter. All right. I was going to say, in the middle of one of the readings, probably at the very beginning, my phone battery was at 71% and it was 717. And I always find numbers like that fascinating. So I didn't have a chance to see like what messages were coming up, but I will take a look at the Angel Numbers book and I'll post it later to see what message is coming up for all of us. Okay, let me just take a look here. So we've got Karine here. Hi, Karine. Thanks for joining me. She's saying she's wondering if there are any messages for her dad in the hospital. Let's just take a look. So what I'm actually seeing is it feels like communication is really difficult and challenging for him right now. Touch is coming up as being really strong and important for him. I'm not 100% sure what things are like where you are right now, but if you are able to, I'm wanting to get in to see him, to spend time with him, because it feels like he's just needing like somebody to hold his hand for a little while. If you aren't able to get in, and if it is at all possible, it feels like you are able to talk to the staff, the nursing staff who is there, and see if anybody can just take a minute to just hold his hand. It feels like that means the world to him. There is a sense that he is going to be able to communicate to you. Yeah, there's something coming up around communication. He's having a very difficult time communicating. But I am seeing him coming into a place that's feeling stable. So that's feeling really positive. And I am feeling you being able to connect again in the future, which also feels really positive too. Let's just take a look. We'll go to, again, the Messages from Your Angels card, and we're just going to ask what's coming up for your dad. And this is awesome. It's actually an abundance card. This is Serena, and she says, I am the angel of abundance. You will receive the money that you need, and God is in charge of how that will happen. Have faith. I see this less about being abundance on a financial level, and I see this being more in terms of abundance of good health and love and well-being. And so going back into the message that God is in charge of how that will happen. So God, source, universe, whatever your belief system is in charge of how you will be able to connect and how you will be able to give and share love in the future. So Karina, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you, and we'll call on Archangel Raphael, ask him to be with your dad and to be with all of the nurses, the doctors, and the care workers who are working with him, so that they have all of the resources that they need in order to help and support him in the best way that they can. Thanks, Karine, for joining us. All right, let me see. So Victoria is saying this was so perfect. I was thinking about this all day. I'm really missing in-person connections. Absolutely. Um, Definitely missing connections. All right, we've got Eileen here. Hi, Eileen. Thanks for joining me. She's saying I'm on for a new venture, and I want to know if it's going to take me somewhere. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, let's take a look. So when I tap in, I've got the end of March coming up as being a significant time for you. It feels like at this point things are starting to come together and they're rolling. So right now it feels like there's I don't know if this is information gathering or there's something that you were gathering and pulling together in order to bring things about. So we're still in kind of this building phase, but as we move into the end of March, it feels like things are starting to be realized. I'm seeing a lot of excitement. I've got a lot that's coming up around women as well. So I don't know if this project that you're working on is something that is in some way involving women or connecting with women or supporting women or being supported by women, but women are coming up as being a really significant part of the next phase that you're going through, which is feeling very exciting. So what I want to say is that yes, there is a lot of support that you're receiving from this. It feels like in part this is financial, but it feels like there's a lot of liberation. I have this sense of freedom. I've got it almost feels like my chest is being cracked open in the best possible way. I know that's a weird way to put it, but in the best possible way, it's being cracked open. There's new opportunity, there's new excitement, things are happening. And it feels like there's a lot of a weight that has been released from you. And I want to say that it almost feels like you've gotten rid of the crap, pardon my French, that has been holding you down and holding you back. So you're on the right path. I do want to encourage you to continue pursuing this because it feels like this is beneficial on so many levels, but particularly beneficial for you in terms of who you are and what you need. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins and we're going to ask, what does Eileen need to know about this new venture that she is starting and that she's in? Let me see. All right, so the card that we have here is the pay attention card, and this is interesting to come up. Notice signs, repetitious signs and your inner balance, inner guidance, as this can yield valuable information. So often when this card comes up, it means that we don't have all of the information that we need in order to make really clear and effective decisions. So it could also be that that's part of the reason that things aren't really picking up until the end of March. So as much as I do want to encourage you to move forward with it, make sure that you are paying attention to any red flags that might be coming through. These aren't necessarily saying no, but they're saying that we need to put a bit of energy and attention into this in order to make sure that this is what we are wanting to become involved with, and that it is moving forward in a way that we're feeling good about. It does feel like there's the opportunity to have some interaction to change as you're moving forward, so that if those red flags are coming up, you can address them before they become challenges and issues. Eileen, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for popping on this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and lots of encouragement for this new project that you're working on. I really hope that you'll share with us later. Okay, let me see. Harjeet saying, love you. I love you too. Okay, so we've got Crystal here. Hi, Crystal. Thanks for joining me. Crystal's asking, do you see me in a relationship anytime in the near future? Okay, so near future is always kind of a tricky one because is that like next week or is that within the next 6 months? So I'm going to ask where I'm seeing relationship popping in for you. So there's something that you're needing to get out of. There's something that needs to be concluded, resolved, finished, tied up with a bow so that you can move forward and move away from it. Because right now it's kind of like, oh, I see something pretty, but then I'm being pulled back to something else. So it feels like if this is something that you're wanting to move forward from, that you're needing to like wrap it up, tie it in a bow, and let it go. I am seeing some opportunities that are coming up for you, but as I'm kind of, I feel like I've got this checklist of things, and as I have a person in front of me, I'm going through the checklist, and it's like, yep, no, not that thing. So what I want to encourage you to do is take a look at your checklist and make sure it's still accurate to the things that you are wanting and needing. Often, I mean, these are forms of boundaries, right? These are things that we're saying, you know, this doesn't work for me, and I'm not okay with this. Sometimes those things that we have in our checklist are boundaries that we created for ourselves in order to keep ourselves from becoming hurt again, because we were hurting at the time. And as we grow and heal and mature and move forward, sometimes those boundaries that we put in place no longer serve us. They actually keep us from what we're wanting. So, for example, maybe something is an age thing. When you were 25, you said, no way I'm going to be dating a 50-year-old. Like, that's just not going to happen. But maybe at 45, 50 isn't a really big deal anymore. I mean, obviously, that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek example. But it's those types of things that can kind of keep us from the partners and the relationships that we're wanting to see and to cultivate. And so particularly with this list that I'm seeing, it feels like people are marking off some of the things, but then it's just not happening. So make sure that your deal breaker things are still actually deal breakers for you. And so I'm having a hard time, pinpointing a timeline, because it really feels like it has a lot to do with what you're ready and prepared to wrap up and to move on and to move forward from, and whether or not there are still opportunities possibly within an existing relationship or connection. Let's take a look at the cards. We're going to pull 2 cards for you this evening. I'm just going to ask, we've got the messages from your angels, and I've also got the Archangel Oracle card deck. We're just pulling one. So the Archangel Oracle card deck, we have the sensitivity card. This is Archangel Haniel, and her message is, you are extra sensitive to energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. So when this card comes up, it's really encouragement to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're feeling, what is possibly coming up as underlying issue. Pay attention to the moon cycles and how you feel with the moon cycles as well. Archangel Haniel is it does work a lot with the moon. So for example, often people will feel tired or cranky or not communicate really well around the new moon and the full moon for a couple of days before and a couple of days after. So I mean, we've kind of got 10 days a month potentially where things are really challenging because of things that are happening with the moon. So you may notice that this is something that is more sensitive for you. And it's also a really great time if you do find that you're sensitive to slow down a little bit, take a bit of time off, take a bit of time away, and or do some work around manifestation and releasing. And then I love this. This is so perfect. So the card that we have here is the Daniel card, and his message is, I am the angel of marriage, and I am assisting you right now. This card, there's one other card, but this card is basically our soulmate relationship card in this deck. So you are receiving help and support, either in an existing relationship or situation, or in a new relationship and situation that's manifesting and coming around. So when I see a card like that with question like yours, universe is basically saying, yeah, we hear you. We're working with you. Just hold your horses. It's coming. Crystal, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, I'm just going to take a quick look here because Victoria had posted right at the beginning, and I had asked her if she would post a specific question and we would connect with her. Okay. I'm not seeing anything here. Now I've kind of lost myself. Oh, here we go. All right. Here we go. Okay, so we've got MC. Hi. She says, Happy New Year. Hope you're well. I so am. Thank you for joining me. And she's wondering about love life. Do you see a new partner coming in for me? Okay, let's take a look and see what we have. So the first thing that I've got the Shake It Off song coming up. So there's something that you're needing to shake off. It's bittersweet is the word that I want to use. It feels like there is a love here that is changing. It's transforming. It is being released. It feels like there is an acceptance of what is happening, of where you are, and things not working and clicking the way that you want and choose. And it feels like there is this sense of release that is happening. So I'm wanting to encourage you to take time with that. It does feel like you're coming to a point in a place where you are ready to be connecting with somebody else, but just needing to honor that time as well. When I ask about new partner and new relationship, man, this is the second time that I've had like an outdoors hiking type of message with regards to being out and meeting somebody. Again, the same with the person, I think it was Tracy that we connected with earlier where this message came up. It doesn't feel like you're meeting the person this way, but it does feel like it's important for you from an energetic point of view to make sure that you're getting outside, you're connecting with nature, and you're walking and exploring and experiencing. I'm seeing breathing really deeply and fully and enjoying the energy of life, and that this is part of what's helping to bring the energy of new partner and new relationship in. When I ask about a new partner coming in, I do have somebody coming in, but it feels like we've kind of got a couple of little stops along the way. So what I would say is that there are possibly a couple of other people that you're dating or you're hanging out with, or where there's maybe some chemistry and you're like maybe, and then there's kind of a bit of a pullback. So it doesn't feel like it's going to be the next person that you connect with. And again, part of this can go back to this bittersweet feeling that I'm feeling, that there's something that's still being released that you're in the process of. I am seeing nice weather coming up. So I want to take a look kind of the later part of spring, possibly into early summer. I've also got something coming up that's feeling significant in a relationship as we move into September. So it feels like you're already in a relationship at this point, and I suspect that there's somebody who might be coming back into your life. So there could be a little pull back and forth. Am I wanting the new thing, or am I wanting to take a look at something that's old that I've already released and let go? So it feels like you might have some decisions that you're going to be making as we move into September of this year, but I do have new relationship and connection coming up for you before then. We're going to go to the big guys. We're going to ask what Mick needs to know right now, and with regards to relationship and romance. And so the card that we have is Divine Order. This is Archangel Raguel. Yes, everything is how it needs to be right now. Look past the illusion and see the underlying order. So usually this card comes up at a time when things are feeling stressful, they're feeling challenging. You've got question. It's kind of like, is this happening, or am I stuck in something? And the message is that you're exactly where you need to be. Look beyond the feelings of chaos, the feelings of challenge, the feelings of difficulty, and find the places, the points where things are feeling balanced and stable. That's usually where you need to put your energy during those times when things are chaotic. It gives you that sense of balance so that you are able to deal with the other things. Mick, I'm so glad that you joined me. Thank you so much for popping on this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and we'll send some romance angels too. All right, let me see. We've got Ashley here. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for joining me. She says, I think I finally almost healed from my toxic ex, and your advice over the past year has been spot on. That's awesome. Congratulations. Just asking what I need to know moving forward in regards to love, meeting someone, even being ready for it. Okay, let's take a look. We've got a lot of that theme this evening. I'm so glad to see everybody who's so open to new relationship and romance. So when I ask about the clean out from the old ex, from the toxic ex, when you're sweeping up the floor and you get that little bit and there's still like the line, so you sweep up a little bit more and you still have the line sweep. That's what I'm seeing is you've swept the floor. Basically everything is out, but we've still got those kind of last little bits that are needing to be swept up. And these could even be things that are going to be addressed in new relationship. When we heal from a relationship, we're usually doing it outside of relationship and partnership. And it's not until we're in something new, when new triggers are coming up, because we find our balance when we're on our own. It's when we're in the relationship with somebody new, the new triggers come up, that's where we have more deep healing. And that could be what those sweep ups are. So what I want to say is it feels like that's kind of where you are right now. And so make sure that you have the mindset that you are ready to meet somebody, and not have it being dependent upon being perfect, because it feels like really the stuff that's left over is stuff that you need to work through with a partner anyway. I'm just noticing the time in my battery percentage again. It's 7:57 at 57%. So we'll look that number up too. Okay, so in terms of meeting somebody new, I'm seeing a child coming up as being significant for you right now. And it feels like this child I'm seeing them being in your life. It feels like this is your own child. I'm seeing them being a significant part about how you are connecting with a new person. So I wouldn't be surprised if this new person that you're connecting with also has a child. And it feels like you're likely going to be connecting with them while you're doing something with your kids. So this could be taking your kids to the park. This could be maybe like a sports type thing. Once we're ready to get back into that, this could have something to do with schooling. So it feels like this other person probably has a child who is about the same age as your child as well. And let's see, what else do we have coming up? And the spring is coming up really strongly for you as well. Again, I go back to some of the comments that we had earlier about one of the benefits when it comes to COVID is when we finally do see people in person, we tend to be more friendly than perhaps we have been in the past. So more inclined to have conversation where perhaps maybe we would have looked down at our phone or looked away or not smiled. And this feels like this is actually putting you in good stead for meeting somebody new. The person that I'm seeing their smile. So I wouldn't be surprised if this person smiles really easily, or that's one of the things that you're really drawn to about them as well. Let's take a look and see. I'm just wanting to ask, what do you need to know in order to move on, to move forward, and to invite somebody new into your life? Okay, so the card that we have here, this is Archangel Raphael, and his message is breathe. Take several deep breaths and exhale slowly to awaken your energy and release old patterns. Yes, particularly the part about releasing old patterns, especially when it comes to those the blips, the triggers that we experience in relationship moving forward. So it feels like that's a big part of what you're going to be doing. When we breathe, we're connecting with the energy of God, source, universe, angels, whatever your belief system is, and bringing that energy into ourselves rather helps us to raise our energy and vibration and puts us in alignment with what we're truly wanting to experience and what we're wanting to move forward with. The idea of breathing also feels like it's getting you out of possibly a bit of like a panic or a slight anxiety place that you might go into, thinking about new relationship, new partnership. Remember that the new relationship that you go into is going to be different from what you've experienced in the past for so many reasons. One, you've gone through and you've healed and you've acknowledged and you've recognized the things that have been challenging in relationship for you in the past. It's not something that you are actively going to invite in again. Two, you are a completely different person now than you were when you became involved with that other person in the past. And you are smarter, you're more aware. It's not something that you're going to go back into. And it feels like you're hypersensitive to the things that might be similar to that previous experience that you had. It's not going to happen again. Ashley, I am so incredibly grateful that you joined me this evening. Thank you so much. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Also, lots of encouragement and romance angels and excitement that you've moved past, you've moved through, and that you're ready for this new experience. So thank you so much for joining me. Wonderful. We have come to the end of our show this evening. I'm so incredibly grateful that you've taken time out of your day to connect with me. It's always a pleasure to be able to connect with you in this way, and I'm truly grateful and appreciative. Sandy and I will be back sometime next week for our Chatting with the Angel Sisters. I'm so incredibly grateful for everybody who popped on with us this week, yesterday when we did it. And I plan to be back for Tune In and Tune Up Thursday next week. Questions are definitely happening on my show, Tune In and Tune Up Thursday. Sandy and I are still figuring out the format that we're going to be using. So if you do have reading questions that you're asking, that you're wanting to take a look at, please hop on this show. And I mean, please obviously join us on the Angel Sisters chat as well, because we don't know what's going to happen, but it should be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to book your own session via phone, Skype, or Zoom, please head over to my website, bookingwitherin.com, and there you can choose the date, the time, the reading length that works best for you. Also, I should put it out there, yesterday I had somebody, a scammer, who has created a Facebook profile, so like a friend page, not like my business page, that looks like me. They've called it Heavenly apostrophe Messenger dash psychic. They've used the profile picture from my Facebook page. So there are a couple of things with that. They've also been sending people friend requests, asking them to be friends, and have been sending private messages to people, offering people free readings if they click on a link. So a couple of things I want to say. I only have this business profile and my own personal profile. My personal profile is Erin Lee, and then my business profile is the one that you're watching this show on. I don't use private messenger at all. I will never send you a message offering free readings or asking you to click any links in order to talk with me or to connect with me. If you do receive friend requests or page-like requests like that, please report them. You can tell if it's my page because all of my stuff is on there. You can tell by the number of followers and people who have liked my page. Usually these spam pages that come up, they might have 8 or 10 people, but I've got several hundred people who are following and who have liked my page. So those are a couple of things that you can do, but know that I have no plans at all to start any new Facebook pages or to start any new Facebook profiles, and I will never send you a private message. I will never offer you readings for free, and I will never ask you to send me money for any of that. If you want to book an appointment with me, I'm so excited to connect with you. Pop over to my website and do it there. I don't do it through Facebook, so those are ways to know that it is not me and that it's somebody else and needs to be reported. Thank you again so much. I'm sending you big hugs, lots of love and support, and I will see you next week. Night, guys. Where do we go? Oops, and broadcast. I'm still figuring it out.